Labour's Yvette Cooper vowed to round up and deport illegal migrant workers in car washes and the beauty sector. She said, "We have directed immigration enforcement to intensify their operations over the summer with a focus on employers who are fuelling the trade of criminal gangs by exploiting and facilitating illegal working here in the UK, including in car washes and in the beauty sector. And we are drawing up new plans for fast-track decisions and returns for safe countries." Well, coming after the nail bars and car washes, forgive me, but doesn't that sound a little bit like a Reform Party policy?
Notice the mushroom in barber shops opening up everywhere, or the candy shops, or the car washes. This is all illegal money laundering of money from drug dealing and from other heinous crimes and activities. This illegality is all over the country.
Look, we know that places like cash-in-hand car washes are hotbeds of illegal immigration, don't we? As our Home and Security Editor Mark White uncovered.
Excuse me, sir. Can you speak to us? You're an asylum seeker?
Yes, boss. Sorry.
You've been filmed going into the asylum seeker hotel.
I'm little speaking English.
But you're from Iraq, is that right?
Yeah.
By doing lightning immigration raids on car washes and nail bars, Yvette Cooper is hoping to avoid scenes like this outside a migrant hotel in London.
There's an individual being carried into a police van here. Shouts of "shame on you."
And she's banking on the fact that many of these people may come from countries like Vietnam and Eastern Europe, where we could conceivably send them back relatively easily. Now, it's all well and good going after dodgy nail bars, car washes and barber shops, but with more than 1,500 people crossing the channel since Labour came to power, and Labour offering them all the chance to claim asylum here, is it actually going to make a blind bit of difference? I can't help but wonder if it's a way for Yvette Cooper to say she cares about stopping illegal immigration without actually doing anything to stop illegal immigration. Let's get our thoughts on my panel this evening. It's Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth, and I'm also joined by the former chairman of the Conservative Party. It's Sir Jay Berry. Carol, I'll start with you. Do you think this is going to make a blind bit of difference when it comes to stopping illegal immigration? Is it a bit of window dressing from Yvette Cooper?
Yeah, and the thing is, what are the optics of this going to look like? Are they going to go charging into nail bars and lift young Vietnamese women and drag them out of there? Is that what they're going to do? So they said Rwanda was cruel, sending people to a safe country for processing, but they're going to drag people out of the workplace, drag them out of car washes, and then presumably deport them. I mean, this is just tosh and nonsense. It's as you said 1,500 have come across. The figure tonight is 2,000 have come since Labour came into power. Already there's immigration chaos. There's another story breaking tonight saying that 70,000 the migrants that were earmarked for Rwanda are going to be given asylum in this country. Now this kind of repeals the Tories' Illegal Migration Act, where if you came here illegally, you couldn't have asylum. So now we're going to have this. And also Starmer's been in talks with Europe, with Mrs Maloney and with Macron. He wants to take a quota of 100,000 every year in exchange for them not coming across on the boats. Well, we're already paying France millions to stop them coming across, and they're still coming.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see about that quota. Benjamin, it is actually essentially a Reform Party policy, this. And I just wonder whether or not there's a bit of hypocrisy here when it comes to the Labour Party. Because, they would have absolutely hammered Reform for this. They would have hammered the Tories for doing this. And now they're just saying they'll do it and everything's fine. The civil service probably won't have a problem enforcing this, will they?
I mean, I think you just sound quite irrational, because if Farage said it, I can't imagine you were criticising him just a couple of weeks ago when those remarks were made by him and Richard Tice. I'm talking about
the hypocrisy of it. I'm talking about whether or not now the civil service will find a way of facilitating the deportations for these people and the processing of them in a way that one could never have imagined they would do under the Conservatives.
No, it's not hypocrisy. It's having a sensible government that isn't bound by ideology for the sake of it. And what I would say...
They won't deport them. We saw Starmer stop the deportation of foreign criminals from this country. He was dead against it.
What I would say is that, there's clearly some very dodgy shops. London, central London's full of these weird sweet shops with no customers, right? All across the country you see it. The answer is ID cards. It would make it so much more difficult for any of these people to get work, for employers to get around employing illegal immigrants if we had ID cards in this country. And every Home Secretary finishes their time in office and says, yeah, actually, I think that would have helped.
All right, OK. Jake, the words decking and Titanic comes to mind.
So, look, this is a conjurer's trick. This is saying, look over here, we're going to be really tough on immigration, we might deport literally a few thousand people who we arrest, and they probably won't deport them anyway, while at the same time rolling back the illegal migration bill, effectively creating an amnesty for 70,000 people who came to this country illegally, chucking their passports overboard, creating an amnesty and getting rid of Rwanda, which was the only deterrent we had. And you're right to say 2,228, I think, have come over since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. Let's put that into context. That's 15% of all people this year have come in the last 3 weeks. What were they waiting for? They were waiting for a Labour government. They were queuing up in Calais. Whether Rwanda was gone, they could come into this country legally and claim asylum. All of these deterrents have gone. And over here, there's a conjurer's trick, which Yvette Cooper wants us all to look at. It won't work. It's dishonest. And it's just typical of the Labour Party, who are just going to let everyone in.
Jake is totally right. They will not deport anybody. You know, Starmer has said in the past that he actually believes immigration laws are racist. So Labour has no interest in controlling immigration because they don't say anything wrong with it. They're quite in favour of it, which is incredible.
Well, it'd be interesting, though, won't it? Because on that point, I did wonder this, whether or not it's less racist to deport people to Vietnam or to parts of Eastern Europe than it is back to some Muslim countries or parts of Africa. And I wonder whether the optics of that is something that Labour are prepared to do.
Well, but the reason that they're talking about Vietnam is because that's seen the sharpest rise in people coming here
There's also
through
quite
boats.
a lot of people there who are working nail bars.
And so,
yes.
Right, but I mean, look, the audacity of you to talk about that. The fact is we had an amnesty by default because the system was so poorly run that you had people sitting in hotels for 18 months, working illegally in these places.
But this doesn't stop that, does it?
They weren't going anywhere under what the Tories are doing.
Yeah.
And just to point out, we spent £700 million on the Rwanda scheme, and boat crossings went up 10% in the first 6 months of this year from last year.
Can I just say on that, there was a point today that I thought was quite interesting that Yvette Cooper made in the House of Commons where she said that the Conservatives had planned on spending £10 billion on Rwanda in the coming years. Now, it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you have a look at what the IFS is saying that it's going to cost us for the public sector pay rises, that comes to £10 billion as well.
Exactly.
And I just wondered if she might be rolling the way...
But we need to start being honest. First of all...
I wish you would.
We should say there's no such thing as an asylum seeker from France. They are not fleeing persecution in France. They are economic migrants to this country. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, which I think we've got to be really straight about, is as long as we keep housing people, giving them benefits, giving them access to the NHS, giving them access to NHS dentistry, they are going to keep coming. Unless we deal with what we call those pull factors, Britain is a soft touch and people will come. And then finally, just to focus on Starmer's deal with the EU to allow legally 100,000 plus asylum seekers into the UK every year. Let me put that into context for you. That is the same as creating a city the size of Carlisle every single year and filling it with asylum seekers. The British public, whoever they voted for at the last general election, did not vote for that.
Look, we'll end up seeing probably at some point a picture of Yvette Cooper with an immigration enforcement...
Having her nails done.
Next to an immigration enforcement van and, you know, them saying, well, we shut down this nail shop, fine. But I do wonder whether or not people are more concerned about the amount of people coming across the channel, the migrant hotel situation, where those people are going to live, and is this policy going to make any difference to that? I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we? We will have to wait and see.